What are the first signs of stomach cancer? Real stories from real people. Peggy's story about her husband, episode 1. I can only speak for my husband who ended up dying from this horrible disease. Carrie's problems were more indigestion and acid-based. One doctor put him on an acid reduction medicine for a few weeks, but then nothing. His new doctor did absolutely nothing when he complained about the indigestion, so he just took antacids when he needed. He also had more issues with gas building up in his system. I think part of it was written off on the account he was a bigger man. He became tired more often. We thought it was because of his insane work schedule that never allowed him time to rest adequately. He once had a decent matrix and we could count on what days he had off, but that changed. His shifts were all over the map and he ended up having mostly split weeks with only one day off at a time. Then he started having problems with his bowels. He had been having regular, solid bowel movements every day. All of a sudden, he became constipated and nothing helped. All his doctor did was tell him to take laxatives. She did prescribe a stronger one, to no avail. This was in May 2021. He had an upper GI and a CT that supposedly showed nothing was wrong. No blockages or anything. So just keep taking the laxatives. He ended up in the emergency room a few times for pain related to not being able to go. He could, but the amount was so small, it seemed like nothing. Finally, he told me he didn't think they were listening or taking him seriously. They weren't. They thought he was a hypochondriac who complained about every little thing. So, he finally let go of his pride and let me get involved. I have a master's degree in social work with a medical and legal background. I knew his primary was not doing her due diligence. So when we returned from a vacation, I told him to tell her to refer him to a gastroenterologist, something she had not done. His indigestion issues were also getting worse again and he started having a bit of a problem with swallowing without choking as well as not being able to eat as much. We had the gastroenterologist do a colonoscopy and egged on him. That was how we learned he had gastric cancer, an ulcer, and pylori infection which caused the cancer. He was put on antibiotics and sent for treatment. I knew a very good oncologist who had a passion for his patients and his work. He treated Carrie to the best of his ability, but there were so many problems. According to the surgeon who was going to remove part of his stomach but couldn't because of how far it had spread, he had most likely had this cancer for 2 years or so before being diagnosed. 2 years! And his healthcare providers just blew him off. He had several rounds of chemotherapy and we tried to hold on to hope. He was better at it than I was, but I was the one reading the literature and researching. What I found was not encouraging. The thing is with gastric stomach cancer, the symptoms can be so mild to begin with. You might think it's just indigestion, you're just tired, it's just a bug, it will go away. It doesn't. If he had been tested and treated properly, it might have been caught at an earlier stage and he might still be here. It wasn't though. He was diagnosed when he was already in stage 4. The chemo bought him a little time. He was diagnosed on Friday, August 13, 2021. The love of my life died on Sunday, May 8, 2022, Mother's Day evening. He was able to walk his only child down the altar at her wedding, but only because they moved the wedding up and he had TG chemo. He had to have 2 units of blood before the wedding in order to have any strength, but we made it. I miss him every day. I keep wondering what if he had been taken seriously. Would he still get here? I don't know. What I do know is people need to have good advocates in their corner. Carrie had one when he let me help. I know he felt relieved to have someone in his corner when he was at his most vulnerable. We all do.